All right, good morning everyone, and welcome back to today's lesson on adding and subtracting negative fractions. Now, the good news is this morning that adding and subtracting negative fractions is the same as adding and subtracting negative numbers. So if you remember the rules we learned earlier this year, you're in a good spot. Just to recap, the rules we learned earlier this year were if we have a plus and a minus next to each other, it's the same as just subtracting. If we have a minus and a plus next to each other, it's the same as just subtracting. If we have a plus and a plus next to each other, obviously that's the same as adding. And if we have a negative and a negative next to each other, that's the same as adding as well. All right, so if the two signs are different, we subtract. If the two signs are the same, we add. All right, so we'll look at a few examples. For instance, we might have 1/5 minus 2/3. All right, now, just like for other fractions, we have to make sure that we have the same denominators when we add or subtract negative fractions. So we've got to convert those two. Today I'm going to use the butterfly method to add or subtract them like I showed you in class before the lockdown. So I'll just erase this and move it down so we have a bit more space. 1/5 minus 2/3. So the butterfly method says to do this times 5 times 3 is 15. I draw the wing. 5 times 2 is 10. Draw the other wing. 3 times 1 is 3. And now I just do numerator minus numerator. So 3 minus 10 equals minus 7 over the new denominator, which is 15. All right, notice that the answer I got was a negative fraction because the smaller fraction, 1/5, was subtracting the larger fraction. So the answer is negative. Now remember, our number line doesn't start at 0. 0 is in the middle, so we'd have 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. But out the left-hand side, we have all the negative numbers. So there's minus 1, minus 2, and so on. And minus 7/15. 7/15 is not a whole, it's just under half, so it will fit roughly there on the number line. So minus 7/15 is a number on the number line, it's just in the negative area. All right, so in this example on the right-hand side here, we're going to have a look at the half, take away minus 1/3. Now we look at our rules again, and we go, take away a minus sign is the same as adding, so this means the new problem is going to be a half plus 1/3. All right, again, I have to relate the denominators, so I'm going to use the butterfly method again. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. Add my numerators, there's 5, and the new denominator is 6. All right, so if you remember your shortcuts from earlier in the year, these patterns here, adding and subtracting negative fractions is not a big jump. You just have to remember that we use the same fraction rules as we learnt a few weeks ago. So if denominators are different, you have to make the new denominator with the lowest common multiple, and then convert numerators also. All right, so there's a bit of a combination of skills we learned months ago and skills we learned weeks ago.